Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the week of June 16th. We had a busy council meeting on Monday night and wanted to update you on a few items. First, a representative of Redpath & Company, the city's external auditors, presented the results of their audit of Bloomington's year-end financial position and results of fiscal operations for calendar year 2023. This is an annual report to the council. Every year, an external group performs a comprehensive audit of the city's presentation of financial statements, internal controls over financial reporting, compliance of both state and federal reporting requirements, and how well all of that financial information is communicated to the group charged with governance, the City Council. Once again this year, the audit was rock solid, with only a couple of minor technical issues reported. Now, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Bloomington finance staff is among the best in the business, and that's not just me saying that. Again this year, Bloomington received the Government Finance Officers Association Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting. If you're keeping track, that's 52 years in a row that Bloomington has received this award. The award demonstrates the city's commitment to preparing financial statements that are comprehensive, transparent, and consistent with accounting standards. Hats off to our finance staff for the outstanding work that they do each and every day, year after year. Also on Monday, staff provided council with an interesting update on the city's large building benchmarking program. Back in 2021, the council adopted Bloomington's Energy Benchmarking Ordinance, which requires owners of large commercial, multifamily, and public buildings to report annually how much energy those buildings use. In Bloomington and pretty much everywhere else, the two biggest sources of greenhouse gas emissions are buildings and transportation. Now, benchmarking in general is helpful because if you want to manage something, you first need to measure it. The specific benefits of benchmarking large building energy use are that it helps building owners and managers understand their building performance and prioritize improvements to help save energy. It enables comparisons between similar buildings, creates demand for energy efficiency in the property market, and it helps the city to be a better resource for building owners and to meet its climate goals. We're in the third year of the large building benchmarking program. About 190 buildings, all being at least 75,000 square feet, are part of the program. It's proven to be a useful program for gathering good information. So much so that during the 2023 legislative session, state lawmakers passed a statewide building energy use benchmarking statute. Once again, Bloomington and other forward-thinking cities are out in front of the state on good public policy, this time in the realm of sustainability. The new state program will apply to buildings in the 7-county metro area and Duluth, Rochester, and St. Cloud. Buildings 100,000 square feet and larger will be required to benchmark next year, but benchmarking for buildings at 50,000 square feet won't go into effect until 2026. So on Monday night, the council directed staff to plan to continue the city's program through 2025 and then rescind the ordinance and allow the state to take over administration of benchmarking buildings in 2026. That proposed path forward will make the transition easier for program participants and will help them continue their benchmarking habits. And it will allow the state to take over the program, which will free up Bloomington staff time and financial resources that can be reinvested in other sustainability services. The bottom line is that the city will still have access to the energy use data. As I mentioned, council provided direction on this, but didn't take any official action. Staff is waiting for a bit more clarity from the state, and the topic will be back in front of the council for final action in the fall. The last item I want to talk about from Monday night is the City Council's action to approve an ordinance establishing prevailing wage for certain city-funded construction projects in Bloomington. You've probably heard the phrase prevailing wage in the past. Very simply, Minnesota's prevailing wage law requires that employees working on state-funded construction projects be paid wage rates that are comparable to wages paid for similar work in the area where the project is located. The ordinance passed on Monday night has the same intent, but specifically for construction projects that receive financial support from the City of Bloomington, the HRA, or the Port Authority. This general topic of policies and programs that protect workers and promote fair and equitable labor standards, it's an issue that the council's been talking about for some time now. For example, the council passed an earned sick and safe time ordinance a few years ago ahead of the state law that was passed in 2023. We started this conversation about prevailing wage last December. There is a lot of development underway in Bloomington, and we wanted to ensure that if city financial support was part of a project, workers on that project would be protected from fair labor violations. Now, I want to be clear. The vast majority of employers doing business in Bloomington do an outstanding job of treating workers with respect, acknowledging the dignity of each worker, and ensuring that each worker is treated fairly. Our conversations have focused on those employers who don't provide workers with those basic rights. We've also talked quite a bit about ensuring that employers doing business in Bloomington all experience a level playing field, and we also want to make sure that any public policy decisions don't unfairly burden employers. Over the past 7 months, staff in the City Attorney's Office have offered various options for the Council to consider. We had long Council discussions both in March and in April, and ultimately the Council seemed inclined to move forward with a Prevailing Wage Ordinance. But the Council wanted to be sure that the ordinance was understood and that everyone had a chance to weigh in. The Council asked staff to present the draft ordinance to the HRA, the Port Authority, and the Planning Commission, and that staff use social media, the Let's Talk Bloomington platform, and other communication tools to really get the word out about what prevailing wage means. All of that has been done. Council received good feedback from our city boards, the general public, and key stakeholders, and on Monday night approved the Prevailing Wage Ordinance. The ordinance will go into effect upon publication in the Sun Current, and staff will continue to work with stakeholders moving forward to implement this ordinance. And finally today, a big mayor's shout out about 2 great community events this past week. The first was the 50th anniversary celebration of VEAP. For half a century, VEAP has been supporting this community through food, housing stability, and other support services. Their anniversary celebration was very special, and I was honored to thank their staff, their volunteers, and their donors for the incredible work that they do. The second event I want to call out is Bloomington's second annual Juneteenth celebration. The rain last Saturday moved everything inside Civic Plaza, but it didn't dampen anyone's spirit or enthusiasm. There was music, performances, really wet food trucks, and a wonderful feeling of community celebrating the end of slavery in the United States on June 19, 1865. Congrats and thank you to the Juneteenth Planning Committee, which included folks from Church of New Life, Normandale Community College, the City of Bloomington Black Employee Network, and others. Well done. That will do it for this week's Council Minute. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe, Bloomington.